an industrial and societal panel. This time, you are going to learn more about how the region of Stockholm is developing healthcare innovations to meet the needs of both patients and professionals. And the panel will be very straightforward, and it will focus on 3 innovations that are driving the development of patient safety, quality and efficiency. You'll hear more about how the region of Stockholm has used drones, 5G mobile solutions, and what the role of a centralized 3D center has been. And to lead this panel is Vanessa Ware, Innovation Leader at Kista Science City. A warm welcome to you, and please introduce your panel.
Thank you.
Oh, women in red have more fun together.
You have to be inspired by the lead moderator, right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Beata. So, hello everyone, and welcome to our excellent panel. Innovating in the healthcare system requires passion and perseverance. It requires an understanding of patients and professional needs, processes and technology, regulation and business models. It's complex systems, and our innovators are working with determination to move the status quo to a new position. So here we are today, and we are catching up with these really interesting projects that were at this conference 1 year ago. So before we move into diving into what are the most important collaborations to succeed and what conflicts do we have to deal with on the way, let's hear a little bit about what's been going on the last year and why these projects are important. Håkan,
yes.
Head of Innovation at the Property Development and Facility Management company Locum. You are looking to the sky for speedy logistics.
Exactly. That's where we find the future, I hope. We've been doing a pre-study on drone deliveries, looking into the possibilities of using drones to transport medical supplies between our 5 major emergency hospitals around Stockholm. So we've been looking into if you can transport, for example, blood, plasma, you can transport medicine, or you can transport blood for surgery and so on. And this pre-study we've done a lot of interesting findings. We've seen that there is a market for it. We have about 4,000 transports every year that could be made with drones instead of cars. Drones don't get stuck in traffic, for example. Drones use less energy. Drones could be more cost efficient and so. But we also found a lot of challenges. There's still a lot to figure out and work out before this can be a reality and be used in a large scale here in Stockholm.
Thank you. Would you like to develop a little bit on the challenges that you need to focus on?
Well, one of the challenges for those of you who looked out today through the window, you saw the snow. I mean, the climate in Stockholm is quite challenging. You can fly drones in real cold conditions, but the trouble conditions is like now, when it's around 0 degrees, it's very moist and humid. So that's one challenge. And then, of course, price is also a challenge. You need to get this to work in a large scale to get the benefit. Otherwise, the overhead costs are going to be very big. And we have a quite well-functioning system today for transporting goods around Stockholm's hospitals, but by cars or vans or trucks then.
And what do you see from testing to actually flying between, let's say, Karolinska University Hospital, which is across the street, to one of the other Stockholm-based hospitals? How far away is that?
To fly here, we have the problem also that we're pretty close to Bromma Airport. So right now there is a no-fly zone for drones right here. There's a 5-kilometer no-fly zone around Bromma Airport, and this is like 4.5 kilometers away from Bromma. So, but I hope that sometime next year or the year after we might fly between Södersjukhuset and Huddinge. That would be plausible, absolutely, for tests and to gain information and knowledge.
We're really looking forward to that.
So am I.
Thank you, Håkan. Fredrik, I'd like to invite you to the conversation. You are Head of Innovation at Region of Stockholm, and you're deeply involved in the reality of connectivity so that we can fly drones and work on other cases. What is your approach in this work?
Well, we have worked with drones for quite some time, even since 2015. And it was the Center of Resuscitation that sits in Södersjukhuset and the Karolinska Institute that did this work and studying on defibrillator being delivered with drones to people in need with heart failure or cardiac arrest. And these studies were done in the archipelago in the northern part of Stockholm, and where there is a distance and it can take time before other means of help can reach there, like an ambulance. So they studied basically the difference between a drone getting there with a heart starter and the ambulance coming there. And this work led up to a publication in the Journal of American Medical Association magazine in 2017. They also studied how can we use drones to identify drowning victims in waves using machine learnings. This work then continued into Gothenburg and also Denmark and Östersund. And now we are starting here again, looking into these questions and investigating also the possibility with 5G and video from accident incidents using drones. So maybe we could go to the next slide on this one. So basically, we're doing a lot of innovations in Region Stockholm, in healthcare, but also in public transport, in culture and regional development. This project here, 5G Healthcare Innovation Project, is a project that we started a long time ago, in 2021. We started this project first from a technology push, looking at all the cool stuff with technology that 5G can bring and the potential with 5G. But then we changed around and looked into the patient needs and looked into the patient journey and found particularly use cases with video. And here you can see some testing that we're doing using video from an ambulance in a stroke case. And particularly, this video here can be used for ambulance personnel and medical doctors to early assess the situation if it is a stroke. Sometimes it's very easy to say, but sometimes it's in a gray zone. And then this video using 5G from ambulance to ER and specialist doctor in the ER can really help for an early decision on what medical procedures to start or where to send the patient. So these are some examples of what we have been up to.
Thanks so much for that update, and I'm of course curious about the challenges there. But let's bring in you, Veronica. Welcome. You're Head of Research, Development and Innovation at the Ambulance Service in Stockholm. Yeah. And you are working to connect patients in the ambulance to the expertise in the hospital. Yeah. What have you been up to the last year?
Yeah, the thing is using video communication both in the pre-hospital setting and the inter-hospital setting, we believe it can save lives. So we know that the knowledge or the research shows that time saves lives. And we think it also can increase patient safety. So when the ambulance service use video communication as a medical support system with the inter-hospital physicians or specialists, we can start the treatment earlier in the scene. So for example, if they have a stroke patient, as you said, or if you have a patient with a car accident with multi-trauma injuries, we can start treatment in the scene. And the aim is to start the treatment as early as possible so we can save lives. And we can also, this project has shown us that we have the inter-hospital personnel have a clear picture of the patient's need of care. And this makes, we can see that it's increased they can streamline processes, and they can also optimize specific resources for what the patient needs. But this has challenges. The first thing is the legal overview regarding GDPR. And the other thing is that we have challenges about if we use video communication as a medical support system, we have to save this in the patient's records. And we know that these files take a large storage place. So this is a challenge. And the third challenge we have is that we change collaborations, routines, and methods. And we are still not there that we have a solution for this, but we have always to think about patient safety. So that is also a big challenge we have right now.
So lots of steps need to be taken there.
Yeah.
We're going to dive into a little bit more into challenges, but finally, but not least, Lena, welcome. You are a radiologist and head of the 3D Center. I'm sorry, I forgot to press the button. So here are some visuals from Veronica's work.
Yes.
We see the patient in the ambulance.
Yes.
And some of the videos that you have tried out.
So it's in the hospital, the personnel can see the accident, as you see that in the picture to the left there. So they can start in the hospital, collect resources just to meet up the needs.
Amazing. Very, very clear. Thank you. So, Lena, the 3D Center, you are enabling virtual planning and using virtual planning and anatomical models, which decreases prep time and increases precision in surgery. That's quite a feat in itself. And you also are envisioning one 3D center that can serve all hospitals in Stockholm.
Yes, everybody can understand that the 3D model, for instance, a pediatric heart, the one in the image, this is a one-to-one model. This is a newborn child with a born anomaly, and it's much easier for both a doctor and the patient to understand something when you can hold it and look at it and turn it around. And the fast development of very advanced software can make treatment of our patients more effective. And since we started a year ago with the center, we have been focusing on the preoperative planning and in virtually. And to explain this is that you can do the whole procedure in advance on a computer. The surgeon can sit together with a medical technical engineer and go through the whole procedure and decide where to cut, how to cut. And for instance, you see the image with there's a part of a forearm on that you can see in the image with the gray thing on top. And this is just we can plan where to cut, where to drill, what plates can fit, and how many degrees you can correct an anomaly. And this is very valuable because you're very prepared when the doctor goes into OR. They know exactly what to do and where to cut, and it speeds up the time in surgery, and the outcome is much more precise, and you plan in 3D and you get the result in all planes. So it's really the ones who've adopted it 100% all the way at Karolinska are the craniofacial surgeons who do all their planning with the virtual 3D planning, and they really adopted this. So they if we would stop, they wouldn't have any way to go back because they're already in this planning. And we are taking on more and more different types of surgery, and it's really thrilling to see that more and more different specialities adopt this new technology. It's very thrilling, actually. Next slide, we can just, so different examples of what we do, but our biggest challenge for now, for the moment, are the regulations, the legal things that EU has a new regulation, the medical device regulation, that everybody has to comply with. That all of us that do medical, technical things that we use in healthcare, and we have to comply with this, and it's an enormous job to go through all the processes we do. We have to be very meticulous and do it very thoroughly, and everything has to be documented, and every new flow that we take on, we have to go through exactly what we do and all the risks, and this is a huge work to do, and the ones doing it are the ones doing the clinical work for the moment. So and it takes time, and time is money, and so economy is also a challenge that we have to.
Thank you. I'd just like to stop there at the regulatory issues, because I know many of you bring it up. And Lena, before we walked on stage, you told me that you have a 3-year horizon to work through regulatory issues. And what have you learned so far from working with that kind of challenge? Have you? Is there anything you'd like to bring out there? Either describe how you go about it, or what have you learned? Veronica.
I've learned that using video communication in the public area, in the home settings, now the law says that we can use video communication, and we didn't know that from the beginning because we haven't used it before in the pre-hospital setting. So I think it calms me in this project that we are doing things that's right and we are following the structure, so no conflict of interest is occur. Yeah.
No, I can just add that when we are working with these new things, often new ecosystem are merging together. So in the case of video here, in the case of drones, we have the aviation industry, we have the healthcare industry, and also the telecom industry. And these three need to merge together. They might collide, and there might be new regulations needed that works in one of these industries and not in the others.
Yeah.
We see, for instance, in the drone that industry, Håkan brought it up, that there needs to be development of the aviation rules for unmanned aircraft and how they interact with the manned aircraft. And then you add on the healthcare rules on that, and you add on then the telecom rules of that. So these are challenges that we face. So we are a little bit ahead of legislation, I would say, in our work.
And with drones, I mean, there is EU regulations in place now, but they have to be transformed into Swedish regulations, and the systems need to get there to automate the air traffic control and to identify where the drones are and so on. So rules are getting in place, but it takes time from when the rules are in place that the products that can use the new rules are in place.
Lena, yeah.
One of the problems with the regulation is that we can read them and we can understand them, but there are many things we can do and we can't do. But it's the way you interpret it. As you said, that Swedish law, Läkemedelsverket, they need to understand them and apply them on Swedish law. So it's and you have to everybody interprets it in different ways. So it's really very, very complicated. Some things are very clear, but other things can be interpreted in different ways. So and nobody has really gone up to EU, to the court, the EU court, in a case where you were not allowed to do something. So until we have somebody who's been fined for doing something wrong, we don't know exactly where the borders are. So it's really a balance.
How much risk can you take?
Yeah.
And how do you go about the grey zone there?
And how do you interpret the law?
Yeah, Fredrik, very shortly.
Just to add to this one, now we discussed different ecosystem, but just within our own ecosystem of healthcare, if you're an innovator in Region Stockholm, what rules apply then if you want to develop and own your own IP rights? So that is complex enough. for people working in the healthcare system to know this. So we have developed handbooks and rules to interpret how we can interpret and how we can facilitate for co-workers to understand the rules and the law in this field, right? And it's pretty not easy if you're not used to it.
Right. This is a whole conference subject matter in itself, of course. Let's move on to collaboration.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious, what are the most important collaborations in your projects for you? I mean, we were talking about ecosystem. We all understand that there are a lot of different actors involved in realizing the work that you are driving. But who's most important right now? Veronica.
Yes, it's between the personal working with the patient. That is very important that we have the same streamline, that we understand each other and the collaboration between routines and processes. Because we know if we don't have that, the collaboration between us will affect patient lives.
Are you working in real patient situations now?
No, we are going to do that. So we are simulating now different scenario with drönare, with stroke patients and together. And it's a very big challenge, but it's very happy, how do you say, good.
You're looking forward to it?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Fredrik, yes?
Yeah, no, I have to add, of course, to this entire conference that the triple helix model is, of course, super important. Academia, enterprises, and also the public entities like we are in Region Stockholm. The combination of those three are super important. And we can see that, for instance, in the 5G project. Yes. We can see that in the drones project, where we all need to come together. In the 5G project, we work together with two companies, Telia and Dedalus, for instance. Here is how we bring it across industries, really, with one's expertise in one and the other. So I think the triple helix is super
And as
important.
head of innovation at Region Stockholm, you can't pick one out. Lena, how are you doing? Can you pick out, single out one collaboration you want to describe?
We have several, but the most important, of course, are the surgeons or doctors that need our help to help their patients. They are the most important. But then we have to collaborate with the hospital administration and make them understand that how important this is. And of course, we have to collaborate with the industry that helps us do the programs and make them do the programs the way we need them to be, because they are not always perfect. So we sometimes you want to change things to become more user friendly, or we need to do things with the programs that they cannot give us. So we have to collaborate a lot with them as well. So.
And you mentioned surgeons who, of course, is using the 3D center. What does it feel like when the collaboration is working?
It's very satisfactory, really, because when you really feel that you help them do something good, or they save 3 hours in OR, or they save preparation time, or the model was perfect, they could really understand how to do things, or they get a aha feeling that now I know what to do. It's really very, very satisfying.
Thank you. Yeah, so I love working in complexity, being an innovation manager myself. I love collaborating, and I'm learning to love conflict. How are you doing that? Do you feel conflict? What is your biggest conflict at the moment? And is it productive or simply challenging? Lena?
I think it's productive, but the conflict is between we want to do it all, we want to do everything, we want to do more. We can never say no to anyone, so we get a bit stressed that we have to. There's not always enough time, but we really want to do more. And there's a conflict between the regulation. We have to comply, so we have to do it by the book. And at the same time, we want to do more, and we want to try out more things. So that's a bit of a challenge. We don't do any implants because it takes even more regulation, and it's quite costly to get a 3D printer that can print implants. But we're going there, surely. But I think this is ahead. But the conflict is more of a time issue. Time. Personnel. For the moment, we have like 2.5 engineers working, and we would need to have more. So
time is a nice way of saying money.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, we all know that the healthcare system is under extreme pressure to be able to deliver high quality healthcare for a larger population and an older population. And in the midst of this situation, you are driving innovation, and it's quite disruptive with the 3D center as an example.
On the same time, you have to. We can show that we save time, and we can have more patients go through the system if the plannings are done in advance and they go through the operating room faster. But it's quite difficult. How do you measure a more successful result? That the patient is very satisfied, or the patient is very, very satisfied, or how do you measure it? So that's quite tricky. But the good thing is that we can save time, and we can have more patients go through the system, and that's really saves money.
Conflicts. What is the biggest one, Fredrik?
Oh, there are many, of course, but one that I would like to bring up is really the importance of starting innovation work based on the needs that you have, the needs from the patient, so that you can drive patient safety, you can drive increased quality and efficiency. And what do I mean by that? Well, the conflict here is between that need and the technology push. You come with a new technology like 5G that is cool, can do everything, even make coffee, right? Go to the moon. But you need to understand the balance between these two, because new technologies can be an innovation platform. On the other hand, it needs to be matched with the needs that you have from the patients and the healthcare where you are. So you need to create an understanding of these two, because people that work with new technology are almost so enthusiastic about that, so they're not really taking no for an answer, whereas the other side can only work with the needs and might not have time and resources to be open to these new technologies. And that combination is really conflict that is so crucial that we get hold of, because new technologies can create the ability to see new needs, and then you can do new innovation work.
Thank you. Let's hear Håkan shortly. What's your take on conflict in your work?
Yes, the big conflict for us is that we have a transport system that works fairly well. 9 times out of 10, or maybe even 19 times out of 20. I mean, the cars are working unless there is a queue and traffic problem and so on. They have also trimmed that system for years and years, so it's very cost efficient. Here we come with something totally new, and that means that we have to invent new solutions. I mean, I would need help from schools and universities to fix. I mean, the transport is not the problem with drones. It's the unloading and loading of a drone. How do you get that to work efficient and automated? We can't have persons walking up to the roof of a hospital 10, 15 times a day and loading and unloading a drone. I mean, we haven't got the whole chain yet, and the old transport system has a very slim chain, so they can do it really fast and efficient.
Right, thank you. Do we have any questions?
I think this one is really interesting. How do those technologies that you are describing changing the profile of people working in a hospital, and what are new capabilities that they need to have in order to interact and fully profit from the technology?
Yes, Fredrik.
Yes.
Then Lena.
Do you want to go, Lena?
Yeah, I can comment on that. I mean, first of all, to adopt a new technology for a doctor, as you say, they are very busy taking care of the patient. They've done it for 100 years. They know exactly what to do, and they have a very, very strict way of doing it. And then to adopt a new thing is difficult, and you need people who can help you that you trust. So you need, for instance, you cannot teach all the doctors in a special field to use a complicated program. You need an engineer who can assist you to do it. So this is a bit tricky. You need the surgeons to trust the engineers to do a good job so that they can benefit from it.
Can I have my mic? Lena, those facial surgeons that you mentioned before, what would you say are sort of new capabilities that they need, those who have fully adopted the technology?
The problem, they don't need so much. What the problem is that the young doctors coming in to learn the surgery, they don't do it from the very bottom. Because they don't need to, because they get the help from the medical technical engineer who does the planning for them. So they need to know what they want to do, but when you learn a new profession, you have to know how you do it from the start. So this is a problem, really, but not a big one, but it's a problem how you educate new doctors.
The shortcut can become a challenge.
Yes.
And it's much more of a collaboration between the two roles. Fredrik?
I just fully agree to what you say, Lena. In addition to that, I think it's good if people actually work in different industries and bring learnings from one industry from the other. For instance, from telecom to healthcare or vice versa, and get that understanding. It takes some years actually to do that, but we need to have those cross-industry collaboration. In the drones, it's pretty. You need to even include the aviation industry, and you need to have that connection between the industries.
Thank you. And Håkan?
Yeah, I would say now we look too much at how do we do it the old way, and we try to mimic it, but with new technology. Instead of looking, can we do it totally different? I mean, disrupt the whole way of working and planning and processes. That's what we need to get into our mind. Don't just compare to the old way. Look if you can do it in a totally new way instead.
Do you see that you will have drone drivers at Locum in the future?
I don't think we'll have it ourselves. I think this is going to be a logistic company that offers drones, cars, lorries, vans, planes, whatever. We're specialists in the properties. You're specialists in healthcare. But we need to get all of these things together to be real efficient.
Great, thanks.
We need to wrap up, Vanessa. I think this was an excellent panel and so straightforward in showing us both the solutions and how it changes the way of working. And one of our participants wants to help you, Håkan, if you have a challenge naming the drone blood transports. A suggested name is the mosquito.
Perfect. I think it's perfect.
That's a very interesting name.
Thank you so much to the panel.
Thank you.
Dear audience, it's time for a break, for a lunch break. For those of you who are elsewhere in the world, perhaps it's dinner, I don't know. We also have the opportunity of visiting some postdoc poster sessions, and they're also prepared for you online. Those of you who are online, you have a couple of pre-recorded postdoc sessions available on the platform. So lunch, mingle, enjoy, and I know some of our speakers from this morning are waiting to talk more. Some of you were gathering over there. Have a great lunch, and thank you again to the panel.
If anyone's intrigued in the room, we have some great models to look at.
Yes,
so
please join us on stage
please join
if you
us
want
and
to.
continue the conversation. Thank you.